Hello everyone, today I'm going to be sharing a real side dream experience from my book Chronicles of a Cosmic Space Case. The PDF link for the book is below the description of this video. Dream 20, a forbidding unconscious. In this dream, I was with my sister. On the physical level, she won't hear a word about the ears, and on the real side, she often would be rather aggressive when I tried to share it with her there too. More recently, she seems more receptive on the real side. Whatever life level version of her I speak with there now has a tendency to listen. It just hasn't, as yet, filtered through to her personal physical self. On this occasion, in my dream, I was demonstrating to her an array of abilities, perhaps displaying the malleable nature of the real side, and how less restricted we all are, particularly with the connection to our real awareness. I was putting on quite the show, vanishing acts, creating all manner of things before her entertained eyes, moving through what would seem to be solid objects and structures, as though I were a ghost. Suddenly, during my little show, a curious window manifested on the wall, for at this moment we were inside a building. Lindsay indicated the window and enquired as to its nature. I did not know, and furthermore, I had the sense it didn't belong here, in this house. It seemed to be of glass. One would assume it to be transparent, but yet nothing could be discerned beyond it. She suggested I go and investigate. Instead of clambering through it, physical level style, I elected to fly instead, adding further to my all the exciting things you can do on the real side show. I went through the window and into whatever lay beyond. I landed and took in my surroundings. A dismal and foul setting to behold. A dead, arid, and forbidding landscape, with no life and sinister undertones, rank odours, and swampy underfoot. Well, seemed it was a window to an area of the dismal lower astral then, and looking around, I could see no sign of life, so I decided to return to where Lindsay was waiting, on the other side of the window. But my mobility was seriously diminished. I looked to see if I was somehow snared, but could see no evidence of restriction, and yet my movements were hampered, as though I was going in slow motion, every step an effort. I felt like a Ray Harryhausen stop-motion photography model. Nevertheless, I made my way slowly back to the window, but something was overcoming me, some kind of a darkness. I was assuming a different form, and it wasn't something you'd see on the cover of Vogue, and with a malignant attitude to match. I proceeded, however, then was stopped in my tracks, for a guide stood there, between where I had managed to advance to and the window. I'm uncertain which guide this was, but had the impression he was one. He raised a hand and proclaimed that I could go no further. I was still in my new and frightful form, and getting more so by the moment, my attitude descending further into darkness. I muttered and hissed, for it was this guide who was preventing my taking another step. He explained how, if I continue back to the window in this current adopted state, I may well pose a threat and hazard to Lindsay when I return to the house she was waiting in. He began to reverse the transition, and I was restored to my former self, and the foul attitudes fell away. I was then able to return through the window. I would awake at this point, but as I did so, one final word reached my ears from the guide. Beware of the dark reptilians. On reflection then, I was sharing with Lindsay in a way that would encourage her by displaying the liberation that can be experienced through real awareness. The house, then, was Lindsay's vehicle, as homes tend to be so. So attached are people to their personal selves. They reconstruct homes on the real side, and often are in them when we encounter them there. Her receptivity further suggested by the fact that I was allowed inside, whereas on other occasions I have been attacked when entering people's homes, as they saw it as an invasion of their personal space, and self-convinced, literal, constructed selves. The window was clearly an entrance to the lower astral. Why did it appear in Lindsay's house then? Maybe she has some kind of affiliation with the dark forces. Maybe unbeknownst to her, as she seemed perplexed as to the window's origin, as we can be programmed by the dark forces and work on their behest at life levels that, unless we are more aware, we wouldn't be aware of, or aware that we were an unwitting agent or being manipulated. I was speaking to my parents about how, unless individuals do make the connection to their real awareness, then they can become calm pawns and used almost like Manchurian candidates, like in the Matrix movie, where anyone still locked in the Matrix can become an agent, even if they are assuming the roles of family members. Seems then, when I agreed to go through the portal window, it was like an agreement to something, and the cause and effect consequences of it potentially taking me down a very dark road indeed. Luckily, help was at hand. A situation I didn't know how to deal with. I'm not sure what would have happened should I have returned to the house in my less than savoury form. My connection to my awareness is not to a degree yet then that I was able to deal with this experience myself, and so a guide came to my assistance. The mention of dark reptilians is interesting, for recently I, my parents, and Lindsay were nearly attacked by a particular variety of reptilian that the New You song was able to keep at bay on that occasion, where they were trying to transition through onto the physical. I had the sense these were a serious reptilian bunch, not to be trifled with, almost like reptilian special branch, or an elite unit of reptilian assassins. I had the sense the dark reptilians the guide referred to were this same group, and that particular part of the astral I found myself in was their lair.